everybody. I'm back. Did you miss me? Maybe. No, a little bit. I don't know. Okay. All right. Yeah, week 10. Week 10. Can you believe it? It's flying by. It's just so crazy. Okay, so okay. Starting with the midterm, it's like it takes me a second to remember what I want to say to you. Okay, so starting with the midterm, did you survive? Um, I know that the fill in the blank thing was a nightmare. I sent out 2 emails about the fact that I was going to fix the fill in the blank issues, and I don't know if we're just not reading emails from me because I got a lot of emails about it. And then after a while, I was like, I can't keep responding to these emails. On one end, I'm going to take it as a good sign that we're watching these videos and not paying attention to the emails. That's how I'm gonna take it. That's how I'm gonna take it. So, I did go in and like correct all of your spelling error things. So if you still see something that needs to be corrected, just let me know and I will go back in and look at it. The final is gonna be the same way, except no fill in the blank, because oh my god, I did not realize it was gonna be that finicky. So we'll probably not even probably. We will do a multiple choice only, true, false, that kind of thing. No fill in the blank, matching, stuff like that. Anyway, okay, so there's that for the midterm. Shout out. Wait, is this. What section am I on? Section 4. Okay, so shout out to David McGinnis for telling me that there was an issue with the grade view, the way that you were seeing it. So if you go back into your grades, you should be able to, it should look a lot nicer. Um, I won't go further into that. You can look at it and see that it's a little bit different. And the other thing is too, I did not realize that some of you were leaving me comments on these YouTube videos. So I just saw them and thank you for leaving comments, and that's really cool. I'll check those too, so you can leave comments there if you want to on the films. And then speaking of YouTube, another thing I was thinking about doing is YouTube does this YouTube Live where I can go live on the channel, meaning it would be like Skype in a way, except for all of you could just watch it and you'd be able to type me questions. So what I'm thinking is, I feel like I'm not explaining it right. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I can go live on YouTube. You can all see me at one time. So it will be like how I'm doing this video right now, except for it wouldn't be a video, it will be live. And then if you have questions or anything like that, you can type them. I can see them immediately and then I can respond to you. So it's like we'll be able to talk back and forth. If that's something you're interested in, because I'm thinking, especially for like, especially for lecture type things, like instead of me doing a lecture like this, I think it would be like more time effective and just better if we had a live session where you could read through the chapter, and then if you have questions about like some of the theories, some of the concepts, stuff like that, you can ask me and then I can answer you like right away. So it will be kind of like in-class participation. So I'm excited for it. I would like to do it, but I would like to know if it's something you would be interested in, because I can't live chat to myself. That would be weird. So I will send out one of those choice forms again, like the choice survey things, and hey, are you interested in even doing a live chat? The YouTube live situation. And then if so, I'll figure out like days and times that work for everybody. But we'll just start with, do you even want to do that in the first place? Because I think that might help instead of me doing a lecture, then you can ask me questions and stuff, and I can answer them immediately. All right. And another thing I wanted to mention was Skype office hours. So I will be doing oh my God, we can have office hours through Skype. I'm on campus Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I have a break between noon and 1 o'clock. I know that time doesn't really work for a lot of people, so and the other thing is too, if you do want to meet during that time and that works for you, that's great. Just send me an email and let me know that you plan on coming. Otherwise, we could do a Skype office hour. I'm totally fine with that too. Just send me your Skype information and what time you want to do a Skype office hour, and we could set that up. So those are my initial announcements going into the week, and I will continue with the discussion forum feedback. Okay, let's get into some of the discussion board feedback. Just a reminder: be sure that you change the subject line at the at the top, so that way we can keep up in the conversation of like who's talking to who. And I like to just it just reads a lot easier, and then you can come up with your own subject title. And sometimes people get really creative, and it's great. So make sure that you change the subject line at the top. And if you're unsure what I'm talking about, I know that I discussed this like in the week 6 video, so go check that out. Okay, so starting with the death penalty. The death penalty discussion board. Hopefully, I have figured out this editing thing, and I'm able to put like your comment like at the bottom of the screen, or I don't know how it's gonna work out, but hopefully I'm able to do that. If not, bear with me. Okay, so Marlene, you brought up. I don't think that Victorino should be charged with a death sentence. The reason being is because Victorino had a neurological impairment that resulted in poor impulse control and the ability to manage his violent temper. And I thought about, insanity defenses that have happened, historically in our courts. Have you ever heard of Harvey Milk, or have you ever heard of Harvey Milk? Like, he's not a person. I don't know if I asked that right. It's late. It's clearly late. I'm losing it. Okay. But have you seen the movie Milk? Have you heard of the movie Milk? I think is what I meant to say. And have you heard of, Harvey Milk? Anyway, he was San Francisco's first openly gay councilman, and he was murdered by their police chief. I believe it was the police chief. He just like walked into his office one day and shot him. I mean, he was a homophobic person, but anyway. And when it was time for him to go to court for Harvey Milk's murder, he argued that he ate too many Twinkies and it made him insane. And this has been called the Twinkie defense. I mean, it's really famous. You can Google it, Wikipedia it if you don't believe me. But he argued that he ate too many Twinkies, it made him insane, and that's why he shot and killed Harvey Milk. And do you think people believed him? They did. And he did not go to prison for killing him. Bananas. Or Twinkies. I don't know. Okay. So then that other thought I had, just in line with what you shared, Marlene, is could an abusive past lead to mental or psychological disorders? And if so, should that be considered a viable reason for someone to be found criminally insane? So kind of interesting. Then Rosa, you brought up if Victorino had some kind of efficient and helpful prevention program that would have helped him better cope with society after he was released from jail, and then he would most likely would reconsider being part of Bellinger and his friend's murders. And I thought, this is a good point. Can you give some examples of programs that could work? Like, are there any programs you can think of right now? And not just to Rosa, that's to all of you. Do you know of any programs? I'm thinking like Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brother, Little Brother, that kind of thing. And then Casey, you brought up that Victorino had a traumatic childhood, and that, why was he sent to institutions at such a young age? Why didn't they try like anger management or therapy or something like that? And I thought that your last sentence, I believe a prison sentence is supposed to deter the criminal from making bad choices, not just a place, oh my God, I'm rewriting this. Not just to place them in there like a timeout. And so clearly, prisons are inefficient at solving these kinds of issues. If they are not deterring people from committing more crimes, then maybe prisons don't work the way that they're supposed to, in a deterrent kind of way, right? And you can get into that in the discussion forums, not just Casey, but all of you. And then a question I also had is, do you think that life in prison is a death sentence? Because, even if you are reformed, you're going to die there. and who gets to benefit from your reformation? I don't know. It's an interesting kind of dynamic. At the same time, you're not being put to death. You still have contact with family members. You can still have impact on a person's life. But so there's pros and cons to both of it. But I would just like to hear your opinion. Do you think life in prison is actually a death sentence? And then moving on to the changes discussion board, Sandra, you brought up that marriage is one of the things that helps to change a person's life, and having children, and most definitely those things do impact an individual. It makes them think about not only themselves, and people do mature as they age, and circumstances help you to mature. Getting a job is another thing that really turns people's lives around. I meant to mention this in the beginning of the video, but I love life course theories. These are my favorite. I love trajectory theories. I just think that they're fantastic. I think that we should pay more attention to them, especially when it comes to like how we sentence juveniles, because very few people are life course persistent offenders. Most people are going to dabble with juvenile delinquency when they're very, very young, and then after that, life happens. They, have these what is the word? It's so late. Oh my God, I can't think. They have these changes that happen in these life course paths that lead them in different directions, and it changes them around, and their trajectory can totally change with these circumstances. So when we lock people up when they're 15, 16 years old and leave them in there for, till they're 35, 40, when they would just naturally age out of crime around the age of 24, 22, something like that, it's just a sad waste. So definitely, and these also really stress the importance of intervention. So that's my little spiel on why I like developmental theories, life course theories, trajectory theories. Okay, Casey, did I bring up? Okay, the only reason people don't accept change, you were answering that, is that they have bad influences around them. What are some, this is a question for everybody, because I thought that was a very interesting comment that you brought up, Casey. What are some circumstances that lead people to stay the same? Because if an environment does impact a person for change, what might impact them to stay the same? And you mentioned, if they're around the people that they grew up with, if, they're always told that that nothing will ever change for them because of their race or because of their gender. And then another question that I just had when I was just reading through all of your, I shouldn't say like all of your, because there are only a few of you that have responded, and it's almost 10 o'clock at night on a Wednesday, so I'm wondering what's going on, because you have to have your first one in by Wednesday. Another thing is, I would love to like shout a lot of you out, but it's usually the same people who get their stuff in by the time I make these videos, so there's that. But anyway, it's just some things that I was reading in your class and also in the other sections class about, their thoughts on change. Have you heard that saying, once a cheater, always a cheater, or you can't teach an old dog new tricks, like those kinds of, sayings? Do you think that those things are true? And the other thing I thought about was, if you believe it is possible for a person to change, should their criminal history be used against them in court? And, why or why not? I mean, if you have some kind of charge, that's 4 or 5 years old, do you think that that's still relevant when being charged with a new crime or a different crime, or, that kind of thing? Just curious. The other thing I thought about too is like, a lot of times this can be seen in like a lot of cases, but one that's coming to my mind right now is like rape cases. Sometimes, a defense attorney will bring up that, the person who's claiming that they've been raped, they have this sexual history, and so they'll look all into their past, or they've partied before, or they drink regularly. Do you think those things should be brought up in court? And it might be different when somebody's accusing someone of something or when someone's bringing a case versus someone having to be defended against a case. But still, I mean, do you think that people, if they really do change and they really can change, that their past should show up in court? Okay, and then finally, the Gypsy discussion forum. Oh my God, Gypsy. So sad. Was it not so sad? I mean, and then the other thing is you just think like, wow, you don't know what your neighbors are doing. You don't know, like people could look one way on the outside and then in the inside they're killing each other. It's just bananas, right? So, Shelly, let's see, you brought up, according to the reporter, oh, okay. I know I had this comment stood out to me because I thought it was great that you mentioned like certain things that started to change Gypsy's outlook on life. You know, the fact that she was starting these like an internet profile so she could meet people, and she was trying to internet date because didn't she have a boyfriend before Nicholas? And then when she went to the convention, wasn't she by herself? And so she was starting to interact, and these kinds of things kind of led her to like, hey, I want to get away from my mom. I know that I can walk. Why do I have to stay in this wheelchair? You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I thought that your comment was right on time. Then I had a question for y'all. Do you think that Gypsy should have been found guilty? Do you think that she should have been sentenced to 10 years in prison? Why or why not? And another question that was kind of toyed around with in the other section was, do you think that Gypsy's mom, Dee Dee, really thought that Gypsy was sick? Or do you think that she was just like using Gypsy for like certain benefits and things like that? I'd be curious to know, you know, what you think about that. So, all right, that's my commentary on our discussion forums. And I had all those announcements at the beginning. I can't remember what I said exactly because I've been filming this in pieces. But hopefully, I think I know I talked about the YouTube Live situation and all of that. I hope that you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next week. Okay, so there's been some requests for September, my dog. This is Timmy. She's a Min Pin Chihuahua mix. Oh, and a little camera shy. But that's her. Say hi, Tim. All right, well, there's September.